me your exposure. I'm like, man, bro. What kind of exposure you give me?
Right, so are we supposed to be through that whole...
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another podcast with Mind Your Business SG. Hope you guys are well. Today we have Ash.
And Tamit.
All right, that's me. Okay, so today, Ash, we have a very interesting guest. It's an industry that we have never really explored before, right?
Very taboo industry in Singapore.
Right. So if you are listening to this with your kids around, maybe this is the one you should not do that.
Yeah.
So just giving you guys a heads up, right? So today in the studio we have Nicole Phua. Welcome to the show, Nicole.
Hello. I don't really know what to say when I come. It's like, hi, my name is Nicole.
So polite.
Right?
So
Only for
polite.
now.
You never know what kind of business she runs when you look at her.
Okay. So drum roll. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Nicole actually runs a sex toy business.
Why would you say it like that?
What do you
Sex toy business.
keeping it smooth?
Right.
All right, but that's not the only business she runs. She also runs a digital marketing agency where they make reels and advertisements, right?
Yeah.
So if you guys want to check out her profile, the sex toy Instagram page is b8.ba.
No.
Sorry,
It's b8b8.club.
b8b8.
B8 for bait. Like masturbate.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, b8b8.club, and the marketing agency is the Social Arm SG. So you can find her on Instagram. Do give a look, to see what kind of products and what kind of videos that they post. So Nicole, once again, welcome to the show, Mind Your Business SG. How are you feeling?
Excited. I think you have a new setup, so definitely
Yes.
honored to be experiencing that.
That's right. Mind Your Business is upgrading a little bit. Ash,
Yeah.
what do you think?
So we have revamped a bit.
Yeah.
Right? So Nicole is our first guest to actually have this new
Mhm.
sound equipments, right? So hopefully it's better for your viewing pleasure and hearing pleasure.
Exactly.
And we'll be talking a bit more about other pleasures today.
That's right. Okay,
Right?
Ash, take it away.
So Nicole, I mean, as usual with all our guests, right? We always are very curious, right? What got you started on this entrepreneurship journey? Was it something that, from a young age you're like, damn, I'm never gonna work in an office space. I want like total time freedom. I want to be an entrepreneur.
Honestly, I've never really, as in when I was younger, I never thought that I would be doing this.
Okay.
Yeah. It just started for TSA, so that was my first business. It started out as a new opportunity that I wanted to explore. Having started the previous agency that I was in together with my ex-bosses, I wasn't a partner, but I did help them quite a bit with the setup.
Right.
And that kind of gave me the confidence to do my own thing. For a bit, it's just been my lifelong dream to sell sex toys.
And there you have it, folks. Passion and, talent, right?
Yeah.
So talent comes from her social media aspect of her life, and, passion comes from her lifelong dream, right?
So a little bit about the agency part, right? So you were working, full time in a marketing agency. So what was your role when you helped, your ex-bosses set it up?
I used to be a suit. So what
A suit?
a suit is like a account management person
right.
in advertising.
How do you spell that?
SUIT.
SUIT. Oh, like a suit. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the term for.
Because you
Right.
dress up in a suit.
They used to dress up in suits.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Yeah.
what's the show called?
Mad Men.
Mad Men.
Yes, like Mad Men.
Right,
Yeah, that's
right,
where
right.
they get the
Okay, okay.
the
Right,
term,
right.
I think. So that was what I was doing before, and then I sort of picked up stuff like learning how to manage the P&L, learning how to do costings, how to manage clients, and all the ops stuff. So I did handle quite a bit of it in the initial parts, and then that's kind of what got me to figure out how I could start my new business as
Right.
well. Yeah. So before that, I was running bigger accounts and like bigger campaigns. So I did a lot of like TVC productions, but
What is TVC? Sorry.
like basically TV commercials, like those that
right.
are larger scale that you see maybe as TV ads or in cinemas, for example.
Right.
That term is used a bit more loosely now because TV ads aren't very
Popular.
people are not as interested in running them anymore. But now it's more like we refer to it as like larger scale production. So
Right.
production where you need like maybe like 20 people on set. Yeah. Then those were the types of production I used to work on. Now I do a lot of social, and that was what I wanted to explore further when I started the social arm.
Right.
Yeah.
So was there a gap in, the company's direction whereby they were doing this, but you wanted to explore more of that? So that's why you branched out?
So, yeah, I guess you can say that. Yeah. Before that, we were doing a lot of bigger campaigns, and I would say like the production, like going on set and seeing all these things come to life was very exciting.
Yeah.
But then like when it comes to like running the campaign where you're doing like so many adaptations, you're like shitting out like social posts of the same thing over and over again because that's what they need to do to run the campaign across different platforms. So like that part of it was not very exciting, and I felt that social was a bit more fun and like the audience is a bit different as well. So when TikTok first started becoming very like in and hip and popular, and like before, after the Xiaomi Mei things, yes, then you see a lot of like interesting content on TikTok that you don't really see across the other
Like
platforms.
the foreign workers like videos.
Yeah,
like
my
Phua
friend.
Lai, you mean?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Hey,
No,
man, it's content, right? Like it's all just content.
Okay, there's also like other like interesting pieces of content that you see on TikTok that you didn't really see when we had like long form YouTube content. And that was when I was like, okay, I think this is something that we can hop on when we first started TSA. Yeah, and it was very fun. And honestly, making TikToks is super fun because my employees, they just scroll TikTok every day.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's their job.
That's their job.
They need to look for trends. They need to see what's going on.
Are you hiring?
Paid to scroll TikTok. Like, that's a damn big like FU to all like the parents, right? Like, what are you gonna get from scrolling TikTok all day?
I'm getting
Hired
paid.
by TSA.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So, making that transition. Okay, now you are a full-time employee, but now you are, branching out. Were you scared?
At that point, I was like, you know what, I'm only gonna be at this age, like young, without any commitments, without any debt. So that was a good time to start.
Right.
And at that point, so I was actually renting a place during that period, and I cut short my rent.
What was this during COVID?
It was during COVID. I started during COVID.
All
yeah.
right.
And then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna move back in with my parents and like literally just start this from scratch because we didn't have any clients
Right.
when we first started. We really just like went from the bottom.
Yeah.
So that was sort of the journey.
What was the like the peers around you, right? What were they telling you when you were like, you know what, I'm gonna take this leap?
I guess there were some people who were quite supportive and they thought that it was something that could work. People who themselves were entrepreneurs and like people who saw the value in the model that I wanted to build. Then also there are people who are like, you sure or not?
Yeah. Of course, the Singaporean standard. You sure, man?
Yeah. And moving back with your parents, right? What was their thoughts?
They were not into it. They were like, why you want just to have a normal job?
Right.
Typical Asian parent
Of course.
thinking,
But were they happy that you were moving back?
They were definitely happy that I was moving back. I was not happy about moving back.
Yeah.
Right. So that was one of your biggest, I would say, sacrifices that you had to make, right? You had to give up a lot of like the freedom that you had from drawing a salary and all that.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
when you first started, like you sat down, were you alone or like do you already want to bring on a partner? Like what was your train of thought at that point when you left?
When I met my partner then, her skills were very complementary to mine.
Right.
So that's why I thought that we would make a good fit when it came to like building the company. And yeah, also when I realized that her skills were very like complementary to mine.
Right.
We met on an account. So she was from the media agency and I was from
Okay.
the creative agency. And then
I thought you were like Tinder. Like we met on Tinder. Okay.
Stop.
What do you mean by media and creative? Okay, like from a layman's perspective, I think it's the same thing, but it's not, right?
It's not. So the creative agency creates the content for the campaign
Okay.
and they come up with the strategy, the creative and everything.
Right.
The media agency does the social media adaptations and the BAU, which is the business as usual content, as well as run the media on the campaign. So they run the ads and
So
they do the ad buys.
A client would hire a creative agency and a media agency.
Yes, if they are looking to run a big campaign, they will need both or an agency that can do both. Yeah.
Right. So y'all were working on the same account together.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
right,
that's how
right.
we met.
Okay, and so you mentioned, and we've heard this quite a bit, right, Ash? When business owners go into partnerships, they do have complementary skill sets,
yeah,
right?
sure.
So you mentioned, so what would be your, strong point?
I guess my experience in setting up a agency before, that
Right.
was definitely like one of the things that I brought to the table.
Right.
And then in terms of production, she didn't do a lot of that. So hers was more like regular social media content. For me, I was able to bring on like freelancers or like work with production houses or production freelancers that were able to create the content we needed
Right.
for our clients. Yeah, so that was
It's like BD and operations.
Yeah.
That's the
I
way
guess
I.
it's
I
not
see.
so clearly defined.
Not so
in the
clearly
creative
defined,
yeah,
space,
but
right?
yeah, it's not very
Mhm.
clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you left, you had 0 clients, right? What was your first steps like finding clients wise? Like were you all doing like cold calling? Was it like referral based? Like do you have a game plan in mind or was it
Oh
just
no, man, I was winging it.
right, my favorite kind of business.
Yeah, it was, we started out reaching out to F&B clients because generally they are smaller and they are more willing to say try. I mean, like if you give them free content, they'll take it, right? So
Right.
most of them, their social media wasn't strong, so we reached out to quite a few of them to help them to like build some content pieces. So we did a lot of free work in the beginning just to build our portfolio, because even though both of us like we worked on big accounts before we started this, right? When our clients come to us, they want to see the agency portfolio. They don't look at the founder's portfolio.
Right,
so
right,
it was
right.
basically starting from scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they don't really take into account what you have done before in another company.
No. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter, right?
I think it does.
Like the company hires you based on your experience, but like people who are hiring the company hires them based on
The company's experience.
right?
But actually, right, I realized that sometimes it's a bit deceptive when you look at an agency's portfolio, because
Right.
sometimes it's like the creatives who made it, maybe they left already.
Left the
Yeah,
company.
Yeah,
right,
so
right.
and they will only put their best work out.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah. It's
like a
sometimes you go
double-edged
to,
sword.
so when you go to them, really suddenly after that they give you like some shit
Yeah.
that doesn't
Yeah,
really
doesn't
work.
match.
You know.
Yeah, right,
It's
right.
about risk management, right? Now put yourself in a client's shoe. When you go to a company, when you see a very nice laid out portfolio, you start thinking, okay, these guys are established, blah blah
Yeah.
blah. You're just trying to manage risk.
Yeah, of course. So
Yeah,
like,
you have no idea who
I-
actually did it.
I
Right?
would rather
You
have
wouldn't
that,
question.
because you can't like individually ask like the people coming
Yeah.
there, like,
Who
you
was
know,
the
so many-
one running the
Yeah,
project,
yeah.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's
So,
true. It's true.
so for the client, I mean, like when we talk about the creative space, right? Like I've also heard on a lot of podcasts, and when it comes to certain artistic forms, right? They don't believe in the whole like free, right? For the exposure. Like some people take that.
Yeah.
It's like never do work for free,
Yeah,
even
some
to
people are
build your
like,
portfolio.
no matter what we need to charge an amount, we will never do it for free. Versus there are some people who are like, you know what, we need to build a brand. Like, how do you decide that moment, right? Which path to take as a creative?
I think, okay, first and foremost, I'm not a creative. I cannot. Yeah, don't tell people I'm a creative, please.
Okay,
I'm-
as a what's the word then? As a business owner.
I guess as someone in advertising.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say usually how I make the decision is, number one, how easy that client is to work with,
Right.
and secondly, whether the brand is worth putting on our portfolio.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have had. I don't want to say nobody's, but like I look at their page and I'm like, what this shit, you know?
Right.
Like,
So
and,
you-
then, and then they're like, oh, we're giving you exposure. I'm like, damn, bro. What kind of exposure you give me?
So, are we supposed to reshoot that one?
Sorry, didn't you reshoot that?
No, it's okay. You brought up 2 points. One
Mm.
is perhaps how big the brand name is
Yeah.
already, and the second point is how easy it is to work
Mhm.
with them.
Yeah.
Right. Can you touch a little bit on the second point, just a bit?
How easy it is to work.
Yeah,
then?
yeah.
Usually from like the initial interaction, we can kind of get a gauge of what kind of client this person is gonna be.
Right.
If they are not very demanding and they are just like, oh, we're just so happy to have you help us make content, then like then it's easier for us to do
Right.
it, right? Because we just shoot it and then they just take it and then they post it on their own and they are satisfied with whatever we can give them.
Okay.
But if they're like, oh, I want it specifically like this, or like okay, I need to or if they start becoming a bit more passive aggressive about it, then
Right.
we'll try to sort of just like cut it off there and be like, oh,
right.
sorry, we're not free to do it anymore
Right,
or something like that.
Give us.
It's quite interesting. Like so, like even with the free stuff, that there is so much demands from the clients, right?
Yeah, like the audacity.
Right. And how do
Yeah,
you deal with
fair
these
enough.
things? Like how do you deal with this?
I get angry.
Right.
Yeah,
did
because
not
hey,
expect
I'm
anything less.
already doing it for free,
Right.
Yeah.
and then you are asking for so
But
much.
is
Yeah.
that the common like thing that you experience, or is there more like gratitude from
I think
on average?
thankfully most of our clients, both like paid and non-paid work, they are generally quite easy to work with, and
Right.
they're very nice, and they recognize that we have an expertise in a certain field, and then they don't try and overstep.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, how many clients at the start would you had to do it for free before you decided, okay, I think this is the time we can start charging?
Honestly, we did have some paid clients initially,
Right.
but the free work was done to build our portfolio to do other things.
Right.
Yeah. So for example, like we wanted to expand into like the hospitality industry, and also I was trying to build a vertical where we could create social media videos for brands a bit more affordably, because last time, like when you ask for a video from an agency or a production house, it's like easily 10K and up, right?
Right.
So we tried to make a vertical that was a bit more affordable and like in a format that is easily, I guess, acceptable for clients in terms of value and the price that they're paying.
Right.
But of course, we've had low ballers.
Of course.
Yeah,
with
so-
every
Yeah, any service-based
Service,
business, I'm sure there's a bit of negotiation at the
Yeah,
start, right?
definitely. Yeah.
So, did you face this a lot, or most people were like, you know what, yeah, that's the price, we are good with that?
I think a lot of them will negotiate with us.
Right.
Yeah, usually. For us, what we try to do is we get our clients to give us the budget they're working with. Then we will just work with that. Like, this is what we can give you for this price.
right.
Yeah, rather than then depending on the type of client. Then so from there we can sort of kind of gauge. Like if the client is nice, they're easy to work with, and they are not very picky or particular, we will give them more value than they pay. So like one of our best clients is Coco Loco. Most of our content gets approved upon first draft.
Yeah,
So
shout out
if-
to Coco Loco. So, what do
Yeah,
they
man.
do?
They sell coconut water.
Coconut water.
Yes.
Okay.
Also local brand.
Oh,
Oh, right.
nice. Go Singapore.
Yeah.
So, with them, it was very easy.
It's super easy. He's super easy to work with. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Y'all didn't have a very stringent like client selection process. Like it's more of like we work with you first, then we see how it goes.
It's a gut feeling on the first
Yeah,
interaction, right?
yeah.
So this is a similar thing we've heard from KP as well, who was our last guest.
Yeah.
He was in the MC business,
Yeah.
right? So in the gut feeling that he gets while talking to a couple for the first time in the initial meetup, right? That's when he judges, okay.
Yeah.
And he has, rejected clients in the past.
Have y'all
Rejected clients.
straight up like rejected clients?
Mhm.
we try not to.
Right.
We'll try to scare them away with prices.
That's one way
It's gonna
to
cost you $1
soft
million.
reject them, yeah.
Like, just straight up, like,
Yeah.
it's $1 million, man.
And
take it or leave it.
Has there ever been a time where even after, that price bump, they're like, okay.
And then you're like, damn.
You
should have charged more.
I don't think I've experienced that in my previous agency.
Right.
Yeah, like we really didn't want to do it, and we were like, okay, it's gonna cost like we just like 4x the price, and they
Right.
still took it. And I was like, okay, whatever lah. They pay us this much, and we just do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
So it becomes like kind of worth the
Worth the
pain
struggle.
and the
Of the-
struggle.
Yeah.
Right,
And
right,
was
right.
it a pain in the end?
It was a pain.
Mm.
It's always a pain.
Mm. So how accurate do you think by now, right, your gut
Mm.
feel is?
I would say quite accurate.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think I've also managed to train my BD exec to sort of
Get a
the
feel.
gut feel
Right,
with
right,
that.
right.
Yeah, so usually after we end the call, they'll be like, "Wow, this one pass away." Like,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, usually if they're not like outright and
Mhm.
then,
Sure.
Right.
we will still try and work something out with them.
Okay.
We'll do like maybe like a 1 to 3 month
Mhm.
contract with them, and if it doesn't work out, then we'll just let them know that, hey, like, I don't think we can take this on. Like, we have too little manpower
Right.
to
Right.
work on this account for
Like,
Like
example.
in a very like subtle and gentle way
Way
of
of,
like
like,
letting
we
you
don't
Yeah,
want to work with
yeah,
them anymore.
yeah.
like you still want to like salvage the relationship, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Because I mean, the industry is small, so we try not to step on people's toes.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, speaking
No,
about
I have stepped on people's
speaking
toes.
about the industry in Singapore, I mean, like no matter what, is going to be a very where especially like majority of your clients are local, right?
Mm.
Like, it's a very small space where we have 7 million people that technically you're reaching out to, and I'm sure it's a very competitive space. Like, how tough was it for you to like break into this space?
Ooh, it was quite difficult.
Mm.
Honestly, I think the first year we were like struggling like mad.
Mm.
But after we decided to like focus on TikTok,
Right.
and also focusing on TikTok means that we can rely more on interns because they are younger and they
Yep.
still understand the platform.
Right.
So like one of my policies,
TikTok spoiler.
my policy is not to
I love it.
my policy is not to hire anyone too old. Because unless
We do
they
not
are working
condone
a
this.
grade. No. Okay, no. If they are slightly older and they have an understanding of how TikTok works, then fine. It's fine.
I
They
feel
know the
like when
latest
she
trends.
mentions slightly older, it's like our age, bro.
Dude, I'm
Maybe.
about the same age.
We are 31,
Yeah, I'm 29 this year.
right?
I'm
So we are
not
still in
31.
the same space.
We are in the same space.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
Okay. So this preconceived notion, right? Because I'm from the recruiting space. So I speak to our clients all the time.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a lot of push from MOM and blah blah blah. I would say in general, a lot of people tend to shy away from hiring candidates who are perhaps in their 50s or 60s. And then it's our job to, advise them correctly
Right.
and,
Right.
take away that stereotype. You might still be.
Mm.
But of course, as you said, the person must still be very into TikTok, understand the
Which is why
yeah.
like, I think the
Mhm.
government like pushes out a lot on the whole like
Mhm.
skills
Skills
future
future.
Yeah.
and upgrading your existing skills and all that, right? But at the end of the day, like I mean, my mom is on TikTok, right, all the time, and her content is like it's just some like weird stuff, right?
Mm.
But the interesting thing is that she's finally like in tune with world news.
Right?
Like I can have conversation with her about the world news because finally she's like, hey,
Oh.
Yeah, because TikTok is
TikTok
now gives you
University.
all the
and
news.
the
Like
algorithm and all
Facebook,
that, right?
TikTok. Okay,
So, like,
Facebook, I'm old. but-
How do you find the balance when, like, say for example, we're talking about a bit about the hiring process, right?
Mm.
Like, how do you balance between like experience and, I mean, working with kids?
I
Interns,
honestly...
not kids.
Interns, sorry.
Yeah, I always call them my kids. That's why. I think for me, I don't really care about their experience
Mhm.
unless it is very important to the scope that I'm hiring them for. But for most of my content creators and creatives, knowing the trends on TikTok is very important to me.
Right.
Could you give
Yeah.
us an example of a trend? It doesn't have to be a recent one. It could be.
I'm quite on-
Singkok bagi duo. No,
What
that one very long already. You can. Okay.
Go ahead, Ash.
No, I'm quite. The last one I did was Ashley, look at me.
Oh my god, I am
He
lost.
do it for the
Do
camera.
you know that Ashley look at me?
I'm lost.
Yeah, man, come on, man. I can work for TSA.
Yeah. Come on. You
Okay.
and Vic.
Okay, like I know this one subway girl thing, like
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah.
people
Subway
taking
Tube girl,
era.
tube girl,
Tube girl era.
tube girl.
right.
Yes.
No, but
Right.
you
I
must-
don't understand
You must
it.
say era.
Era.
Yeah, it's like when you're walking and then you're just like, yeah, I'm tube girl era.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
It's not what it is.
What? I just see people walking and like, they're just like,
No, they do the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
inside
Yeah.
in the train.
I
Oh,
don't
is it?
Yeah,
get it, but it's trending.
it's
right?
trending.
So
yes.
that would be an example of a
Right.
trend that you might
Yes.
want to pick up for
Then
a
there's the
client.
trend now,
You know.
where you stick the phone on the ceiling.
Oh yes, yes, the, one,
Right,
the
yeah.
dancing one. Yeah,
See,
yeah.
honestly,
Yeah.
TSA. Come on. Yeah.
I-
Honestly, like every time now that like, I'm on TikTok, I'm gonna be thinking like, damn, I could be paid for this.
Scrolling TikTok. Yeah.
Like, okay, so if we were to like force you to pick one quality that you did need to have in like say a hire, what would it be?
Mm.
ADHD.
No, actually, dude, I have so
Short
many
attention
people with
span.
ADHD in my company right now. I would say, like, not dumb juice.
What?
I don't know how to explain this quality.
Common sense.
Do you know the dumb juice meme?
No,
No.
what's that?
It's the dog, and then there's this juice packet, and then it's sipping on it, and it says juice.
Huh. Okay.
Right.
He knows what I'm talking about.
He is super
Yeah.
like he's my meme guy, right? So he sends me memes all the time. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
so-
then when I send him memes, he's like, brother, 6 months ago, man. 6
Wow.
months ago. Where have you been?
Where have you been?
Yeah. So,
Okay. So basically, someone with a little bit of common sense.
Yeah, like I would say, but the thing is, it's very difficult to suss out this trait.
Right.
Honestly, like common sense is unfortunately not very common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
something that we all hear. And okay, what? And from a recruiter's standpoint, again, what is a question that you ask them usually? And they come from no experience, right? They're interns, right? So what questions do you ask them?
Usually, I'll ask like very generic questions just to see what kind of answers they give. So if they give me like a very like politically correct or like a
Boring.
very lame answer, then I'll be like, not sure about this person, you know? Like,
Yeah. Right.
So I mean, like, tell me about yourself. Like,
I don't really ask them about myself. I just like,
Right.
oh, can you just introduce yourself? Then after that, I'll be like, okay, so what are some trends that
Right.
you've seen on TikTok that you think are interesting? What are your favorite trends? That's
Right.
usually an indicator.
right.
Like if they tell me like a trend from like 6 months ago, I'll be like, okay, this is what
Right,
not a
right.
fit, you know.
Right.
I
Oh
see.
my
And
God.
I would
Yeah.
fill this interview.
I would.
You would ace it.
I would. Yeah.
You would ace it.
Unfortunately. Yes, I'm on TikTok too much.
Okay.
It's a good trait to have. You know, you're
Right.
in tune with the young people.
Hi guys, thanks for listening. Next week on Mind Your Business SG.
Gen Zs will never stay in a place for a long time.
Right, our parents' generation was the complete opposite, right? Where they, I would die at this desk. Like this
yeah.
is my desk. Like,
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
my desk now.
bury me with my desk. Right?
Yeah.
Then you just see Gen Z's like floating around, like,
Yeah, very like 6 months. Time to go to the next job.
right.